What's up, guys? How's it going? It's always me, Francesco, and welcome to this new episode of the Montemaggio YouTube series. So first of all, I would like to say thank you to all the people that are, of course, giving support to us and that are always following us. And also I would like to say thank you to all the people that are watching our YouTube series for the first time. Don't forget to subscribe and remember that you can find us on every kind of social media. In the description of this video, you will find all the links that will bring you directly on our social media pages, on the different social media pages. So now let's try to dive into this argument. So first of all, I would like to say that the heat usually will exalt the alcoholic component and the alcoholic perception of wine in our mouth. That's the reason why if we serve a wine on a very high temperature, we risk to spoil the experience and we will perceive only the alcoholic perception. On the other hand, if someone is serving you wine that is quite cold, maybe this person is just going to hide something from you. Maybe the wine has this effect. Of course, we are joking. Nobody will serve you a wine too cold on purpose. But of course, if you serve a wine on a very cold temperature, something would not be easy to be perceived, and you will just basically cover some kind of characteristic in this way. We should find the right, perfect temperature. So now, when it comes about the different type of wine, so first of all, we should analyze the vini spumanti, the sparkling wine. Sparkling wine is something you want to serve in a range of temperature that goes from 6 up to 8 degrees Celsius. Of course, this is something that it's true for every type of sparkling wine, and it's very important to do not serve those type of wines to a very warm temperature, because otherwise you will lose all the component. You will lose the acidity, you will lose the sapidity, you will lose the perception of the fervency as well, and all of the complexity. Now, when it comes about white wine, white wine, especially those type of white wine that has a good acidity and maybe at the same time a very good alcoholic component, but on the other hand that maybe don't have a very big and full body structure, should be served around 8 degrees up to 10 degrees Celsius. So this is very important. You don't want to serve those type of wine to a higher temperature, because you don't want to lose the perception of the good acidity, of course you don't want to lose the finesse of the wine, and you don't want to perceive only the alcoholic perception. When it comes about white wine that has a slightly much more full body, maybe you can go a little bit higher, around, let's say, 10 up to 12 degrees Celsius. In that specific case, it's not a big deal. You can go a little bit higher and you will never lose, of course, the perception of the body and of the aromatic component. Now, what about red wine? Red wine is probably the most complicated argument when it comes about wine service temperature, wine serving temperature, because we tend to think that we should serve those type of wine at room temperature. But this is not actually true. You can actually divide the red wines in two different categories according to the serving temperature. So when it comes about young red wines, or in general younger red wines, we can serve those type of wines around 14 up to 16 degrees Celsius in order to, let's say, emphasize the aromatic freshness, and also to emphasize all the fresh fruity notes. This is the idea. So for example, I have here the Merlot from 2017 of Fattorini Montemaggio, which is for us a younger wine. And of course, when it comes about this wine, probably I would like to serve it a little bit colder, around again 14 up to 16 degrees Celsius, in order to smooth it out, the wine, to emphasize the freshness, and of course the young fruit that we perceive in this wine. We actually perceive this beautiful mulberry. Of course, it's a young wine, so the alcohol perception will be a little bit more prominent, and the wine will be in general a little bit bolder. When it comes about wine that are quite aged, or in general a little bit more aged, So we want to serve those type of wine around 18 degrees Celsius. So for example, the Quintessenza from 2014, this is a wine that has already a very good aging time. So it's a wine that it's in general much more complex, and it has this beautiful nose, which is quite complex. So I want in general to do not serve this wine on a very cold temperature. We have a little bit of the mulberry again. We have a little bit of minerality, a little bit also leather notes probably. It's a blend between 60% Merlot and 40% of Sangiovese. So you got a little bit the characteristic of Merlot on one hand, and on the other hand you got a little bit the minerality and aromatic taste of the Sangiovese. So it's a very interesting kind of wine. For this kind of wine, I would not serve this wine, of course, on a temperature that is higher compared to 18 degrees Celsius. But in general, it's of course a wine that I do not want to serve that cold, let's say, so not around 14 degrees Celsius. Of course, this is something that it's also a little bit personal. So if for you a wine is too cold, you just can wait a little bit. Maybe you can warm it up a little bit, the glass with your hands, in order to raise up the temperature a little bit. So that's the idea. So we have two categories: younger red wines around 14 degrees Celsius up to 16 degrees Celsius. Older red wines maybe around 18 degrees Celsius. Now, what about the rosé? Rosé, of course, it's a very discussed argument. Some people think they should serve it around the same temperature of a white wine. Sometimes other people think that they should serve it a little bit warmer. So for the people that think that the rosé should be served a little bit warmer, they think around 12 up to 14 degrees Celsius. For all the people that think it should be served at the same temperature of a white wine, the temperature of the white wine, as we said before, is around 10 up to 12 degrees Celsius. So that's the same temperature you want to respect for the rosé, if you are one of those person that believes in serving the rosé at the same temperature of a white wine. I would prefer a rosé, especially in the summer, a little bit colder. So go for the 10 up to 12 degree Celsius range of temperature. And in general, try to serve the wine even a little bit colder, especially if you are on a wine tasting, and so maybe you want also to chat a little bit, discuss a little bit about that specific wine, because in the meantime you serve the wine and you explain the wine to your guest, maybe the temperature will go a little bit higher. So it's always a pity, because you lose something. Again, you will perceive too much the alcoholic component. I use personally a tool to, for example, refrigerate the wine, to cool it up the wine, to chill up the wine while I'm serving the wine, which is the wine cooler that I'm going to show you. This tool right here, which is a stainless steel part, and then a beccuccio. We serve the wine using this, and while we are serving wine, of course, we are also able to chill up the wine a little bit. Of course, we should say that first of all we should basically cool it up, the stainless steel part, for one night in the freezer. Then the day after we built it, we put it in the bottle, and then we just serve the wine. And this way we will be able to, of course, maintain good low temperature. And even if we talk too much, even if we spend some time just like giving the time to the wine to breathe a little bit and so on, we will not have too much problem with the raising of the temperature. So that's the idea. Now, of course, you know a little bit the perfect temperature for each different type of wine, and you can experiment a little bit. Remember that also, especially when it comes about food and wine pairing, even in that specific case, temperature is so important, because it will help you to enjoy a little bit more the experience. So do your experiment and let us know.